Welcome back to episode 5 of SC Academy for season 2025. Today we'll be reviewing round 3 as well as a preview of the upcoming round 4 games this weekend. Round 4 is a pretty hectic week with a stack of notable players facing time on the sidelines. Many Supercoaches will be boosting again this week. Fortunately, by jumping the gun on Matty Nicholson last week, I can save a boost. But I have jumped the gun on another player this week, which we'll get to in my trades this week. But I have done this to get rid of AE Nightmare Dimitri Malga. Let's have a quick look at last week's results. Not a bad week last week. For me, I came away with an 1146 in a week with not a lot of high scores. I immediately cashed in on bringing in Payne Haas and putting the VC on him. I then obviously looped him and avoided captaining Ponga for his 45. I did have Cleary for his 2, but again, going back to being a Hines Cleary owner, Hines made up for it with his 115. So, you can take that. You can take that too, and you can be okay with it when you got somebody like a Hines there with a great matchup against South. Obviously, HIA is a part of the game; they're going to happen, and this is why having a flex is such a big part of the game this year, especially with being able to still loop and also have a 2 drop out of the score. So thank God for flex. I did have Garrick for this week for his 4 try 157, which was absolutely incredible. But I did again get the sit v starts a bit wrong. I played Hetherington over White. I was a bit concerned about the minutes for Naf White with a few of the troops for the Roosters returning, but he came back with an 87 and Hetherington had a 38. I also played Smith over Pakes, which was the reverse order of the week before. Smith with a 20, Pakes with a 43. I didn't play Shibasaki for his 60, Purdue for his 67, Iongi for his 57. I had the AE of Vaimalga for a 20. Howarth wasn't that great, 39. Marzu, 38. Great base stats for Marzu, so I'll take that in a losing side to score 38. Howarth, on the other hand, a lot of points in that Storm Panthers game and came away with a 39. But as we all know, if we watch back to a couple of weeks ago, I did trade him in for Campbell Graham, which now Campbell Graham has gone down with a calf tear and also hasn't been setting the world alight by any means either. And in that week, I was able to loop Ponga. So I'm not disappointed about that Jack Howarth trade whatsoever. And he's still got a pretty low BE and still should make money and score points as well. So we have now moved in the top 2% with a season ranking of 3,755th out of 159 501 players. I'm stoked about this. Usually I'm the kind of guy to build my team around cash gen, which I still have. And I usually like to be ranked around, the top, even at this time of year, the top 7, 8, 9% for me would be kind of the benchmark, because I'm the kind of player that builds into the year. But sitting in the top 2% already with all the cash gen that I have in my squad, being a dual owner of the likes of Cleary and Hines and Turbo and Ponga, makes me really, really excited for what's to come for the year. So keep an eye on SC Academy. We'll be aiming for that top 1%, then the top 1,000, then the top 100, and, who knows what could happen from there. We might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves there, but nonetheless, it's been a great start to the year. Let's have a look at the games. We started off with Storm v Panthers. Storm 30, Panthers 24. Top scorers, Brian To'o 106, Paul Alamotti 102, Tom Jenkins 91. A couple of notable scores, Katoa with a 77, Pappy with a 66, Munster with a 61. Obviously the low light, Nathan Cleary getting a HIA early in the game and scoring a fat 2. Harry Grant, 26. If you were a Harry Grant owner early in the year, or obviously it is early in the year already, but if you're a Harry Grant owner, real concerning signs, massive BE. I will say though, I still don't necessarily think it's worth a trade. Maybe to to a Connor Watson maybe when he comes back from his concussion, or maybe a Tom Starling potentially. But like Nathan Cleary, if you don't make the trade, you don't lose the cash. You brought Harry Grant in at the start of the year because he's the best hooker in the game. Whether he's still going to be the number one hooker in the game this year, we'll have to wait and see. I think Connor Watson is probably pushing for that. But yeah, I'm reluctant. I even with the huge BE, I probably wouldn't make the trade. A couple of notes here. Penrith still leaking points. I mean, they did have excuses, but defensively don't really have excuse. Like, you don't concede 30 points just because Nathan Cleary is not there. But they were still able to lay on 24 without him. They've still got great high attacking output. They're a great system. And To'o had a bounce back from his 34 against the Roosters. In that game, he had a try as well. So for him to come out and score 106 was great. The big key moment here, though, was Nick Meaney coming down with a broken jaw and Ryan Papenhuyzen taking over the goal kicking. I said initially that if this was to happen, that Ryan Papenhuyzen would become a must-have. When Nick Meaney went down, my first reaction is Ryan Papenhuyzen is a must-have. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to trade Turbo against the Eels. I don't want to trade Ponga. It was one bad game. He's the livelihood of the Knights. And I think he really pushes to be the number one fullback in Supercoach this year. It's probably a 6-week stretch for Pappy. The thing that really turned the tables for me and made me not do it is there's word that he's got a bit of a dodgy ankle. For me, when there's smoke, there's fire. And yeah, look, it's going to hurt not owning him. I'm definitely going to be sitting here watching him this week, praying that he doesn't go off, and in the subsequent weeks. But my other thought is that if I was going to do it, I would need to trade out Iongi. Iongi hasn't finished making his cash, and I would have to basically gut my team to get him in. And with all the cash gen that I've got going on, it's not something I want to do at this time of year. So I am going to let Pappy go through the keeper. But if you are in a position where you can get him in, I back you to do so. Now, if you are going to run a 3-gun fullback option, for me, it's Turbo, Ponga, Pappy, or Pappy, Walsh, Turbo. I think Walsh bounces back in a big way, and he's another scary watch over the next coming weeks. Moving on to Warriors versus Roosters. Warriors 14, Roosters 6. Top scorers Chance with a 115, Leia Tower with a 95, and Naf White with an 87. A couple of notable scores. Angus Crichton with a 62 in a really low-scoring game, a really sloppy game as well. 62 pretty much all in base. It's starting to see some positive signs. I think the Roosters will start scoring some points soon, and hopefully he turns in off the back of it. Aaron Clark, 55. Couple of lowlights. Sandon Smith, 20. Luke Metcalf, what a roller coaster this is, 23. Somehow he still made cash this week. And Rob Toya, 26. Again, it was a low scoring game, but kind of expect a bit better. I didn't think his floor was actually that low. But it was an incredibly sloppy game. Talking about that side with Rob Toya, Dom Young looks atrocious without Joey Manu. Seriously, just goes to show how good Joey Manu actually made Dom Young look. Don't get me wrong, Rob Toya is by all means and purposes a great player, but he's not Joey Manu. Let's put it that way. And yeah, as I touched on, Metcalf is a bit of a roller coaster ride. Naf White, I'll just quickly touch on, 57 minutes. He's now got a -10 break even. He went up 57k. He's projected to make another 50 this week. And Luke Metcalf, although it's been a roller coaster, his break even is still only 2. So I'm going to hold him this week. I'm not going to play him. He's not done making his cash, and 5/8 just seems to be a wasteland, so I don't know who I would go off. He is obviously 5/8 halfback dual, so if you have him at halfback, it's a little bit easy to jump off. But for me, I've got Cleary and Hines, and I just don't know who I would jump off to go to, considering that I'm also an Adam Dewey owner. So yeah, it makes it very difficult, but yeah, we're gonna hold on to him for now. Moving on, Broncos versus Cowboys. Broncos 26, Cowboys 16. Top scorers Payne, Haas 140, Adam Reynolds 120, Murray Taulagi 73. A couple of notable scores: Purdue with a 67, which was great to see. Arthur 62, Shibasaki 60. Cobbo only had a 27, and Jack Jajewski 32 with a try. It's always the traps who seem to find the try line. But even with that try, still only scores 32. I beg you, if he's in your team, find a way, get him out. Payne Haas has just proved himself to be an absolute must-have. He's a fullback in a front rower's body, and it's Ramadan as well at the moment. Like, the effort and work ethic on this guy is just absolutely insane. His break even is 4. He went up 108k. He's projected to make another 78k this week. And I think I was bang on the money last week bringing him in before he becomes unobtainable. Like we touched on in episode 1 that we don't want to be spending massive money at front row. Last week I feel like is the cheapest we were going to get him all year. And when he's proving to be a must-have, I can stick him and sit him there all year long and not have to worry. Arthur's break-even is now negative 14. He also went up 117k and is projected to rise another 69k. Shibasaki's break-even is 5. He went up 84k. He's projected to make another 34k. It's just a lot of ticks going on. Also, Jackson Purdue. I think I was bang on the money again last week, saying that he was a hold and that he will make money. Comes away with a 67 and has a pretty low break even to boot, and will now start to generate some cash, which we spoke about last week. Moving on, Sharks versus Rabbitohs. Sharks 27, Rabbitohs 12. Top scorers Nico Hines 115, Ronaldo Mulatalo 109, and Braden Trindle a 97. A couple of notable scores: Cale Ero with an 85, Jamie Humphries with a 79, and Pete Mamazelis with a 50. A couple of lowlights: Sam Stonestreet with an 18 and Jai Gray with a 26. For me, the Sharks just seem to lack the killer instinct. Like, they were all over South in the first half. This game could easily have been a 50-point scoreline, and I don't know if they put the handbrake on or if the attack just fell to shit or what it was, but they just did not look like the same side in the second half that took the field in the first half. South are absolutely desperate to get blokes back on the park. For me, it's really hard to go anywhere near the low base outside backs for the Sharks. Your Ronaldo Mulatalos, as you see, comes away with a 109 this week, but the last couple of weeks in a row were reasonably low scores. Sam Stonestreet, last week scores double. This week comes away with an 18. There's one guy, and there's a reason why I put low base here. There's one guy for the Sharks that is really low owned, and I think could be one of the buys of the year. I just personally can't get there myself at the moment. Cale Ero, break even of 20. That was his 689k, so it's a really awkward price. He already went up 49k last week. He's projected to rise another 47k. So he's had 65 against Penrith in round 1. And that was pretty much all base. 111 against the Cowboys, and then 85 against South. So he's definitely one to watch. If you played last year, you'll know that he's a base stat machine. He started at that 640 mark, based purely almost on base stats. He failed to find the line a lot of times last year, and he was still pretty much a season-long keeper. I know I held him all year from basement price, and just watched his price go up and up and up and up and up every single week just on work rate and effort. Really interesting watch. Second season, he just continues to look better and better, and now he's finding the try line as well. So, yeah, big tick in Kalero's book. Dolphins versus Tigers. Dolphins 18, Tigers 30. Top scorers, Api Coruscant 96. Herbie Farnworth with an 85 and Taruva with a 79. Notable scores, Katoa with a 74, May with a 73, and Seyfarth also with a 73. Lowlights, Jerome Luai. This is the reason why we said wait and see what he does. We didn't see him in the trials. We didn't know what his role was going to look like at the Tigers. Another really low score in a 20. And again, Hammer with another garbage score with another 20. Luai's break-even is now 121. He lost 72k this week, and he's projected to lose another 61k. So if you are an owner, if that's not the biggest red flag you can possibly get, losing 72k, next week going to be, I urge you to get him out now. There are better options at cheaper prices. Tigers, they really showed resilience in this game. You know, they were down early. They came back. They won the game. I don't think the Tigers of old win that game. So it's good to see the Tigers turning a page and coming away with a win. My biggest piece of advice, although Isaiah Katoa could be a little bit of an outlier, he's shown why he's one of the most exciting young halves in the game. But my biggest piece of advice is don't touch any Dolphins. We were kind of half excited about Max Plath and Tom Gilbert. Max Plath's now got a break-even of 88. Tom Gilbert's just plodding away, and he's got a break-even of 54, but he doesn't really have high upside. His role hasn't gone through the roof by any means. You know, if he was averaging 60, 65, yeah, I could jump on. But while he's plodding away around the 50s, it's just not for me. I think there's higher upside guys there. Moving on, Titans versus Knights. Titans 26, Knights 6. Top scorers, Jaden Campbell 117, Bradman Best 109, Cant with an 88. Some notable scores, both Fermor with an 80, Tino with a 61. Lowlights, Marzu 38 all base, Ponga 45, and that was with a real late try assist as well. They did have excuses. They were decimated through injuries, and were missing Lucas, KPP, God, who else? I can't even remember off the top of my head. But yeah, they were a shade of what they should be. Tino is now firming as a near must-have. He has a break-even of -4. He's projected to make 45k, but his projection is only 52 points. For the first 2 games, he's been averaging 53 points per game just in base. So for me, this is the cheapest he'll be all year. You need to jump on this week if you haven't already. I'm very happy to say that even with the bye, I had him there in round 1. Kind of saw this coming and was happy to jump on early. I think that's kind of been the theme for me so far early this season, is jumping the gun has been paying off. I don't know if it's also kind of... Maybe it's kind of to do with the flex as well. And also there's a lot of players getting a lot of cash gen, so that's helping as well. But I'm not afraid to jump the gun. I feel like you can't really go wrong at the moment with a lot of the picks that are out there. There seems to be a lot of players across a lot of teams making money. So yeah, I'm okay with jumping the gun, and I'll get to somebody in this game that I'll be jumping the gun on. You can probably guess, but we'll get to it in my trade planning. But yeah, did jump the gun on Tino, and now it's absolutely paid off. Bo Fermor, he now has a break-even of 38. He's an 80-minute edge. He's dual 2RF CTW. For me, he's just a great replacement for Dylan Lucas. Kant had 65 in base. He's 274k and available at 2RF. He played 80 minutes, and the job security looks good while Dylan Lucas is out. So, yeah, there's a few ones to watch coming out of this game. Moving on to Eels versus Bulldogs. Eels 8, Bulldogs 16. Top scorers Zach Lomax with an 89, ran for like 300 metres or something ridiculous. Sherry with a 78 and Penasini with a 68. Notable scores, Hopgood, kind of on the bounce back, 67. Brown, 61. Iongi, 57. Lowlights, Tupanua, 33. And Preston with a 47. Brown's break even. Last week it was 99. He lost 29k. This week it's 100 again. He's projected to lose 28k. On the flip side of that, Iongi's break even is an 11. He made 63k this week and is projected to make another 28k. Tupanua for me is a sell. He went up 27k this week, but now his break even is 78k. So I feel like he's really maxed out. And if you've got him in your squad, I'd probably find a way to sell and cash him in now and downgrade to a cheaper option. The Eels did look better in this game, but the Bulldogs obviously had Kickow and Burton missing. The Bulldogs forwards for me are really hard to go near. There's just not a lot of upside there at the moment. Even guys like Jacob Preston, 47 this week. I used to call him Jacob Preston because he's had a few tons in his career, especially as a rookie. He was a great Supercoach player to own, but yeah, he's just not showing that at the moment. The rotation's a bit weird. I just can't go anywhere near them. And the Brown and Iongi roller coaster, it's a really hard watch. I feel like those two, their scores almost seem to coincide with each other. If one goes well, the other goes well. But I'm way more willing to hold Iongi at the low price with the low break even than I am with Brown with the high price and the high break even. So willing to ride the roller coaster with Iongi. I decided last week, if you watched, I did trade Brown last week for Adam Dewey, and with him losing 29k and projected to lose another 28 with that 100 break even, I am very happy to do so, even though it cost me 15 points. Not really a big deal. Moving on, Seagulls versus Raiders. Seagulls 40, Raiders 12. Top scorers Ruben Garrick 157. Daly Cherry Evans 105, and then Hudson Young with a 91. Relevant scores, Olakwatu bounce back game. I keep saying it, when Manly are good, Olakwatu's good. 83. Corey Horsburgh 58. Matty Nicholson with a 49. Low light, Xavier Savage only a 19. Jason Saab, he had a real low break even coming into this game, but only came away with a 24. And then Tamale, who everyone said that he was a must-have last week. I let him go through to the keeper. I held Jackson Purdue. I'm going to pat myself on the back for this one. Look how it's turned out. I'm happy to let him go through the keeper. You can't have every cheapie, and I'm happy to fade Tamale at this stage. The Seagulls, they do look elite at 4 Pines Park, but they are an inconsistent side. If we see them continue to win games across this year away, then I'll get a little bit more excited for them. Maybe I keep banging on about fading Olakwatu, but if they can find a way to win away from home, then maybe Olakwatu should be a little bit higher on my list. But yeah, I'm going to continue to fade him for now. I will say, although having a 157 now in his rolling average, I wouldn't overvalue Ruben Garrick. He does have a break even of 23. He went up 68k. He's projected to make another 68k this week. He plays the Eels this week. For the next couple of weeks, don't get me wrong, you have to hold him if you're an owner. I probably wouldn't buy him though. And it sounds crazy to say after a bloke's just scored 157. But Manly start to run into some tough matchups. And with Tom Trbojevic coming back, I don't think Garrick hits that ceiling probably again this year. So although he's had a 157, we take the points and run with it. We'll take the cash while it's still there and generating and run with that. But as soon as he maxes out, we can potentially look at other options. I wouldn't overvalue Ruben Garrick. I don't think he's a season-long keeper, especially if, as I mentioned, Manly continue to show inconsistencies away from home. Matty Nicholson, base is great. 49 pretty much all in base. Let me just double check here. Yeah, it was pretty much all in base. He didn't have a lot of runs though, which was slightly concerning, but look, 49 is cheap as anything. Horsburgh, his 58 was with the sin bin as well. He's got a -7 break even. He already went up 74k this week. He's projected to go up 45k, but his projection's only at 49. I see him exceeding that, so I think it's, you know, over 50k. Tom Starling, he scored a 53. His break even is -20. He's 433k. He went up 90k this week. He's projected to make another 70k. He was a great move if you had somebody like Duffy and you were able to shift Sandon Smith down from hooker to halfback. For me, I can't do it. I've got Cleary and Hines. So in that case, I think Tom Starling was a great pickup. Or if you somehow were one of the very few that decided to jump on him in round one, then good on you. He's proved to be a great pick. I was going to be on the Mamazelis train, but couldn't afford it with the players that I chose in round one. So I'm stuck with Pakes and Smith at the moment. They are slowly burning away and making cash, but they don't give me any confidence running either of them every week, and it's a weekly toss-up of who do I put in based on the matchup? Who do I think is going to score better? Very rarely do I ever feel like I can play both of them at the same time. And for whatever reason, I seem to keep getting it wrong every week with these two. I think it's been 3 weeks in a row, and I've got the opposite order around. It's just killing me. So good on you if you've jumped on Tom Starling. At 433k, if you haven't jumped on now, I think this week is the last week you can afford to do so. He's projected to be like 520k next week, and for Tom Starling, I don't feel like I can do that. I feel like maybe Connor Watson at that point would be a better buy, but yeah, good on you if you have jumped on. Last week's predictions, I had Storm 1-12, which was good. Warriors 1-12, which is good. Broncos 13+, they won 1-12. Sharks 13+, which was good. Tigers 1-12, which was good. Knights 1-12, I was way off here. Bulldogs 1-12, which was good, and Sea Eagles 1-12, which was obviously 13+. So this week, 7 from 8 on the games, 5 from 8 if you add the margins, and that makes for the season 16 out of 22 on the games and 12 out of 22 on the margins. We didn't start making these predictions until after Vegas, but I thought we'll keep this in as a weekly thing and start tallying up the points as we go. Moving on to this week's games. First up, we have Rabbitohs versus Panthers. Campbell Graham is out with a calf muscle tear. Alex Johnston comes back in pursuit of Ken Irvine's record. Hopefully he can get there. It'll be a great story in the rugby league world. Praying that AJ can remain fit for the rest of the year and score some tries. So let's give him all our best. Isaiah Tass moves to 4. Panthers changes. Cleary is obviously out for the week with his 11-day stand down with the HIA. Casey McLean dropped. This one surprised me. If you're an owner of Casey McLean, it is now time to jump off. Tolau comes in at 7 and Laurie comes in as well. Prediction at Panthers 13+. Roosters versus Titans. Roosters changing. Connor Watson and Makatoa are out. Collins and Butcher come in. Zach Docker-Clay goes to 9. Titans changes. Keanu Kinney is out with a neck injury, and Jalen de Groot comes in. Match prediction here, Roosters 1-12. Dolphins versus Broncos. Dolphins unchanged. Broncos changes. Wheels up Gemat Shibasaki because Katoni Staggs has come back and Shibasaki has retained his spot with Dean Mariner being dropped. Match prediction, Broncos 13+. Dragons versus Storm. Dragons changes. David Clemmer comes in for his Dragons debut. Egan comes in while Laurie and Fatala Mariner come out. Storm changes. Jerome Hughes is out with a hand injury. Nick Meaney is out with a jaw injury. Nelson Asafa-Solomona is out while Wishart, Warbrick and Garlick come in. It's a pretty handy 3 to come in as replacements for those guys. Match prediction here, Storm 13+. Cowboys versus Raiders. Unchanged 17, Viliami Valia is in the squad, but he did have an eye injury. Zach Laybutt is looming in the reserves. We might see a switch there. Raiders changes. Morgan Smithies comes out. Joey Tarpanay returns from suspension. Corey Hawes removes to 13, and Trey Mooney goes to the bench. Prediction here is Raiders 1-12. I do see a world where the Cowboys get their first win here, but I think the Raiders will bounce back after last week and come away with a tight win. Moving on to Sharks versus Bulldogs. Changes there. Hazelton is in. Hamlin Uele is out. Bulldogs changes. Unchanged 17. Match prediction is Sharks 13+. Seagulls versus Eels. Seagulls changes. Turbo comes back in. Nathan Brown comes in. Paseka is out and Falolo is out. Hopewade goes to 5. Paseka is now expected to miss pretty much the entire season. He's forecast back in round 25. For the Eels, Russell and Keir are in. Samrani and Tuivasa are out. They've actually picked up Dylan Walker now from the Warriors. He's been granted an early release to go to the Eels, and he will be available from next week. Match prediction, it's 4 Points Park. It's Seagulls Eels. It's Seagulls 13+. And moving on to the last game of the week, Tigers versus Warriors. Tigers are unchanged. Warriors, obviously, Dylan Walker is out. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is out for 6 to 8 weeks. Jacob Laban finally comes into the squad. We've been saying this for weeks now. Where has he been? He comes in, and then Berry comes in as well as Pompey moving to 5. Lowest break-evens, Tuipulotu -54, Gutherson 48, Jenkins on a -46, but his value will not change this week as he has only played the one match. Matty Nicholson with a -42, Sam Rani with a -31, but he's not playing this week. Kant with a -30, he's not playing. He will not change. No, he's not playing this week. He won't change, and he's not playing. He's only played the one game, and they've got the bye, so still a couple of weeks off before we see some price changes there. Mamazelis with a -27, Hamish Stewart with a -26, Jamie Humphries with a -24, and Lockie Hubner, who's expected to be back is back next week from his suspension, with a -24. Highest break-evens, Jeremiah Nanai 153, Reece Walsh 149. As I mentioned, I feel like he's due to bottom out really soon. He's a real exciting watch. I feel like he's getting the wheels ready for a bounce back. As soon as he bottoms out, he could be close to a must-have. Same as David Fafita. If he can get off that bench and get into the starting lineup, improve his fitness, with a 146 break-even, hopefully he bottoms out at a nice healthy price for us to jump on. Nathan Cleary, 146. It's a different story though. As I keep mentioning, if you don't make the trade, you don't lose the cash. He's obviously had a 2 in his rolling average. He's got the HIA. He's out for 1 week and 1 week only. Comes back into a great draw. I can't trade him. If you're trading Nathan Cleary, you're bonkers. It's not all about cash this year, and if you haven't set up your team for cash gen already, then I don't know what you're doing, because there's so many players making cash across the board that Nathan Cleary can't be the biggest problem that you have in your team. Dylan Edwards, 138. Val Holmes, 135. He's an interesting one to watch when he bottoms out with the Dragons constantly going left. Hammer with a 134. I can't go there, even when he bottoms out. The Dolphins just look atrocious. Hughes with a 130, now with a broken hand as well. Harry Grant, 129. Same story with Nathan Cleary. You don't lose the money if you don't make the trade. Damien Cook with a 124. My round 4 trades. Now, I mentioned jumping the gun, but it was to get Dimitri gone. We did hold on to Dylan Lucas last week, which I still think was the right move because we didn't have confirmation of how long he was going to be out for. There was every chance that he was going to miss this week with the bye and then come back the following week. But we've now got confirmation that it looks like a 6-week injury, so he has to go. I will be jumping straight back on when he's announced. He has got a tasty low break even and has been scoring. He scored really well his first 2 games. There's a world where we can upgrade a Jesse Arthurs to a Dylan Lucas as soon as he comes back. So definitely one to watch. I don't think that Jesse Arthurs can be a season-long keeper. But so far, he has scored 5 tries. He scored 5 tries in the entire season last year. If he just keeps scoring every game, then I'll hold him for as long as possible. Dimitri Vaimalga had to come out. He's just an absolute AE nightmare. Plays 15 minutes. And my thought process behind this, I will get to the ins. I bring in Beau Fermor, who I touched on earlier. Perfect Dylan Lucas replacement. Same as Dylan Lucas, 2RF CTW dual. Plays 80 minutes. It's really a like-for-like replacement. I brought Dylan Lucas in for that stability. I'm bringing Beau Fermor in for the stability. Moving on to Cant. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun, but I've already looped twice in 3 weeks. I can't hold somebody like Vaimalga and just pray that there's no Nathan Cleary, for example, from last week, and then pray that my 17 out of my 18 are my top scorers. I just don't want to keep risking this AE nightmare. Cant should get good job security, should get an 80-minute edge roll while Dylan Lucas is missing, should get a couple of price rises. So I'm happy to jump on early because he's a much better player with a much better role. Should make way more cash. I did have to spend up a little bit to do it, but I feel like I'll make that money back. So yeah, that's the reason why I've decided to jump the gun. Plus, with having the bye this week, he doesn't become an AE nightmare. So yeah, kind of solved a couple of issues there and got away from Vaimalga, which was great. I now have 40 trades remaining. I did save a boost this week. I was thinking I'll probably boost again after last week. I'll probably go boost, which is what I usually do round 3, round 4. But decided not to, and I have 49k remaining. Finally, onto the round 4 team. At hooker, we are going to be starting Sandon Smith, and although I mentioned it's very difficult to do it, I'm going to play Corey Pakes as well. I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm just going to throw both of them on the park. I still am a little bit light on it to RF, especially with Lockie Hubner still suspended. I can't wait for him to come back. I really feel like he firms up my 2RF. So I've decided to roll the dice on both of them this week. At front row, Payne Haas, who we've got the VC on, Terrell May, and then in the reserves we have Corey Horsburgh and Naf White, who I refuse not to play this week. You watch him only come out and have like 30 minutes or something ridiculous and score a 30. It's bound to happen now that I've put him into my starting lineup. At 2RF we've got Tino, Matty Nicholson, who I was so glad I jumped on a week early. Even with a 49, he just firmed up that 2RF for me last week when I needed it with the likes of Lucas, Vaimalga and Hubner as well. So he was a great pickup. Beau Fermor comes straight into the starting lineup. I'm holding on to Kobe Hetherington for this week, but he's starting to become a bit of a priority for me to move. But he's a non-playing reserve. Lockie Hubner comes back next week, which is great, and Cant should be back next week after the bye. I can't see him missing the starting lineup with Dylan Lucas not there. I just kind of hope that KPP doesn't chew into his minutes. I feel like he will just play that Dylan Lucas 80-minute edge for now. So hopefully we're all good there. Then moving on to the halves, we've got Hines and Cleary. Obviously, we're sitting Cleary this week with his 11-day stand down. 5/8. I'm going to roll Adam Dewey out in the starters this week and not play Luke Metcalf. I'm really I can't keep doing this roller coaster. I can't keep having a heart attack every time Luke Metcalf's on the field. You watch again, like the Smith-Pake situation, I bet like round 2, I'll sit him and he'll make a ton. But yeah, he's only really in my side at the moment for that little bit of cash gen while he's got that 2 break even. Centre wings, Garrick, Shibasaki, Howarth and Arthurs. I'm also going to play Jackson Purdue this week, and then my non-playing reserves, Marzio, who's on the bye, and then Rob Toya. I feel like I just need to watch one more game out of him to really make my mind up as to if he is a sit or a start week to week. At fullback, Tom Turbo comes back and goes straight to my captain. Ponga is on the bye, so I shifted him from flex up to fullback, and then flipped Iongi down to my flex. All right, well, that wraps up round 4. Good luck this week. I hope that you're all doing well. And if you have any questions, concerns, hot takes, please leave them down in the comment section below. I hope that you're, even at this stage, even if you're in the top like 10%, you should be really happy with yourself. If you're not, though, look at the person who won last week. They climbed like 50,000 ranks or something in 1 week. It only takes 1 week at this stage. It's real early on. You can still save your team if you have made mistakes. So if you do have some fires that you want to put out, don't be afraid to reach out for my opinion. A lot of people might not necessarily value my opinion. I am in the top 2%. I finished in the top 2% overall last year. I was in the top 1% for a long time last year. I feel like I know what I'm talking about by now. So please, if you do need any advice, don't be afraid to reach out. I'm always active in the comment sections, and always happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right, as I said, good luck this week. All the best. Ride that Metcalf train. I really hope he actually scores well just for the cash gen, but I hope Adam Doueihi has an absolute blinder and justifies me picking him on that Adam Doueihi situation. I really only am picking him because the Tigers are showing that they can score points, and with that goal kicking, he just kind of firms up that floor a little bit. Anyway, been banging on for too long now. Good luck, all the best, see you next week.